Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Anna Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Welcome to this episode number 22 of The Gavel, podcast focused and directed at bringing you the latest news relevant to government weaponization and the fight to end it. As you know, a gavel is an instrument traditionally used to call the attention of the people, to catch your attention into something important that is going to happen. And that is exactly what I'm trying to do here. But before I start our program for today, I wanted to, as I usually do, bring God's covering over this little place here. I want to invoke the Lord's presence in this space in order to protect it from the enemies that we know are lurking everywhere all the time. So I picked from 2 places today, from Isaiah and a Psalm, and I'm just going to read to you. Trust in the Lord forever, for in God the Lord we have an everlasting rock. And then Psalms 121, I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will never slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. As I read that, comes to my mind some image I have had for a long, long time, which is that sometimes we feel we are in the edge of a precipice with so much pressure, with so many terrible things happening all at once, because that's the specialty of the criminals. And then I feel this invisible hand grabbing me by the back of my shirt, preventing me from falling into that precipice. And it's all, in figurative thinking about it. And I can hear the voice of God telling me, I have only allowed you to come this far to let you know that I will never, ever leave you alone, let you fall, or leave your side. And that image, in fact, I've tried to create that image with Grok and all the AI, and the criminals always interfere. If you can come up with an image like that to write about that, I would very much welcome it. So please, let's help me fight the censorship. Repost this podcast and subscribe and like, because that is the one way we can defeat the atrocious censorship that we face every day. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Anna Toledo. I am an attorney that is committed to exposing and shutting down the government weaponization and its nefarious impact on average Americans that didn't ask to form part of it. So thank you all for your blessings. Hola todos. Today marks the 15th day of the government shutdown. It doesn't seem that there's a possibility that things are going to change very soon. There is in Washington, I don't think that there is an environment ready for the opening of the government again. And in this context, I want to ask you that if your gang stalking has gone down, well, let me know in the comments, because I did know we're not going to tolerate here We know we have done the, we're not going to tolerate any perpish conduct here. We know it's the government because nobody else has the billions of dollars to run this. So if you are a government perp, well, you're blocked. There we go. Okay. Now, so the government is paying the soldiers with some money that they found somewhere, but it seems that, bless you, Justo. It seems that it seems that the government is going to continue to be shut down. Okay, this Holly Griffith I'm trying to block, but of course the criminals are not letting me block because that is a total and absolute lie. And I was anticipating this attack today, and I'll tell you why. Because the criminals are very, very upset at the fact that we are making progress and that I am going to Washington, D.C. So bear with me. Yeah, there is no much hope that there is going to be an opening of the government again. But again, I think it's good, at least because the gang stalkers don't get paid. I am going to dedicate this episode to the concept of connecting the dots. And the reason why I want to do that is because when you observe from you do a step back and you observe the different things going on in different places, and you think they're not connected, but they totally are. And now it's coming to the light, this dot connecting thing. Okay, so one of the things that when January 6th happened, we didn't know that it was a psyop, right? We didn't, at that time, we didn't know what was coming. One of the things that happened on January 6th was the following, that John Liu, who was a senator from New York State, wrote this in Twitter. Seeing the Twin Towers crumble is no longer the most frightening moment of his life. Well, what happens is that this was the beginning of the mass entrapment carried out by the FBI and the weaponized government. This man, he being a Democrat and from New York, he was probably apprised of what was coming on to these people. So he got horrendous comments because, as we know now, many of these people were even invited to come in. It was peaceful. They're coming into the Capitol. But this is important because this happened in January 6, 2021. And from there, the whole weaponization of government was unleashed against the J6ers. And whether you agree with them or not in terms of your political position, I can tell you the following. The J6ers are all targeted individuals. The J6ers have the attention not only of President Trump, but of a lot of people in Congress and the Senate. So I think that their plight can open the doors for the rest of victims of government weaponization, such as the parents that protested at school boards, such as the people that oppose the COVID mandates. So for this reason, we should stand in solidarity, because I am absolutely certain that not only they are victims of government weaponization, but also their families. Please remember how a little baby, he wasn't even a toddler, it was a baby, was put on the quiet skies because his father was a J6er. So let's continue. I'm going to continue in this theme of connecting the dots, because this week a lot of things have happened that seem to be separate events, but they're not. They're all related to the same government weaponization. And most importantly, and for those of you that have been entrapped by these criminals, you know what it is. God knows they tried to entrap me on many occasions, but they couldn't do it. But I know that many TIs have been entrapped into unfortunate events that and it's all part of the defamation of character, the destruction of character campaign. So I want you to be very vigilant watching the news. and connecting the dots on everything that is happening. So this John Liu compared, as I said, compared in January 6th to 9/11, and everybody just, totally trashed him. And then everybody trashed him so much that he went back and said, "Oh, well, no, I didn't really mean that." But that he was announcing part of the psyop that would be unleashed against these people. Then Christopher Wray was at some point was confronted by Representative Clay Higgins. Get a load of this.
Well, it's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle that's used for secret purposes. It's painted over. These two buses in the middle here, they were the first to arrive at Union Station on January 6th, 0500. I have all this evidence. I'm showing you a tip of this iceberg.
Mr. Chairman.
These two buses
Mr.
are
Chairman.
painted completely white.
Point of order.
Point of order. Sure.
Just run over the time.
Okay, this was when Christopher Wray was still the FBI director. And so we have the evidence that there were people, actors, street theater, that were pretending to be J6ers. Then we have from last week's revelation, I showed you the clip of Christopher Wray saying, no, we didn't have confidential human sources. Why? Because Kash Patel admitted that there were 275 plainclothes FBI's in the they weren't confidential human sources. They were FBI employees trying to entrap people, and in fact they were rejoicing when the people started entering the Capitol, and one was caught on camera saying, "Oh, we don't have to go for the pipe bomb." So now that Mr. Patel has opened the door of the restricted and prohibited access files, he has opened it for everybody. He cannot say he opened them only for these investigations of Congress and not for the rest of the average Americans. And that's why, it is so crucial and important that it's at this time you send your Privacy Act request. Okay, I have to check on the airplanes because they're already active. Yeah, active to try to, this one is always N5LS, always comes in to interrupt my broadcast. So if it does, please let me know. Okay, so then after Kash Patel, we have a really great clip that I found from Mr. Bongino that more than a year ago, he already knew that there was this entrapment. This thread that I'm going through is the entrapment that is being exposed now. But this was exposed last year by Mr. Bongino, who now is the direct sub-director of the FBI.
This whistleblower believes very strongly, emphasis his, that the pipe bomber may be a government contractor. What?
Okay, so now we know he is that is a whistleblower that Bongino had while he was in working in his show in Rumble. So he's probably looking into all of this evidence. Remember, we're talking about entrapment, about the psyop of these people are terrorists. Let's put them on a list. They were already, I think most of them were already on the list when they went to January 6th, and the entrapment into the crimes. And that takes us to what John Solomon has been reporting, which is the 30 million records of phone calls of senators and White House with people around January 6th. They say that they didn't listen in, but I don't believe that. But there's 30 million lines of phone data mapping contacts between conservatives and the Trump White House and the senators in the name of investigating the January 6th Capitol breach. a massive dragnet that raises civil liberty concerns about the lack of limits on the ability of lawmakers to snoop on the Americans' private calls. This, we know, was done by the FBI at the behest of the committee. The mountainous connection of phone records was revealed to the FBI, led by Chris Wray, in late 2023 by former Representative Adam Kinzinger, a GOP member on the Democrat-run House January 6 Select Committee, the same one that was completely pardoned. Here we go again, connecting dots. If you didn't do anything wrong, why were they all pardoned by former President Biden? So in the memo, Kinzinger told the FBI that the phone data had been collected by then former Representative Denver Riggleman, an ex-Republican who was a staffer on the Capitol Riot Committee, and who later helped Hunter Biden's legal team in its efforts to cast doubt on the laptop belonging to Joe Biden's son. So this is another dot to connect that this will continue to bring more information, because we know that it wasn't just it wasn't just data lines. I am absolutely certain that the FBI criminals were listening in. And so Just the News is publishing this, which is where John Solomon works, and I really urge you to follow them, because this is what's going to open Pandora's box for us. For the illegal surveillance, we're going to be focusing now on Fourth Amendment. Illegal surveillance, listening into your phone calls, getting into your emails. All of this is going to be this. They are starting with the phone calls, but you wait and see how it's going to come in. The emails intercepted and the social media accounts intercepted, because remember, the Twitter files were nothing but part of government weaponization. And that is what I want to go to do in DC. Connect all these dots for the people that haven't connected them yet. So Grassley's office said on Tuesday that he had sent letters to Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Lumen requesting to provide Congress all the records that were handed over to former special prosecutor Jack Smith as part of his electoral case against President Trump. So more will be revealed regarding this. As we know, the Senate chairman's office revealed that these FBI documents have been obtained because they were found in the prohibited access files in response to Grassley's requests. As you all know, prohibited access files is where we are certain that they have all the illegality, all the nomination forms regarding you, and all the illegality regarding this program. Only people with a very high security clearance had access to that, which was the FBI director and a few others. So at the outrage that everybody has been, all these senators have been saying that they're so outraged because of the spying on them, right? Which is something that for us is like, we assume, it's not that we accept it, it's like we assume it happens. You know, we assume when you go into your car, and if you don't assume it, you should assume there's a microphone in your AC vent. And you should assume that in your house there are microphones, because even though they don't need, you know, the criminals over there at Trevor and CIA don't need a microphone to hear and see what you say or do, the local ones do. So Thomas Massie, responding to all the senators that are all, particularly Marsha Blackburn, she asked why did AT&T and Verizon did not challenge the subpoenas on their phone records. He said it plainly. It's called the Patriot Act, FISA, and CISA. That is what has eroded the Fourth Amendment and privacy rights of all Americans, and they voted for it. So now this thing about, which they did it with the latest FISA approval, they excluded themselves from being subject to FISA. Let the rest of the humans, of the average Americans, be subjected to it, but not us. So this is touching them very close, because he's, you cannot, rules for thee and not for me. No, you cannot have that. because this is exactly what happens. So now let's continue connecting dots. And now I'm going to show you something that came out today, which was, it just speaks for itself. And it's like some people are just getting, well, just watch it here. Just watch it.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions.
I'm gonna please allow me to play it because she just looks like really triggered.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions.
So what matters here, again, whether or not you're Republican or agree or not agree, we can agree on various things, and it's the following. Even though I have been on this since 1999, okay, so it's not and I was placed on the list for my environmental activism work, but it is true and it is